are not talking about flying which city, nothing. But because of the structure, the strategy change, they have to change the structure accordingly. Now, besides strategies, what else? The size, of course, right? If you are small, you are like, let's say, a family business, you don't need to worry so much about the organizing, right? Because the father is the one who make all the decisions and everybody help in. Now, but when you are getting bigger, you have to move from the simple structure to what? To a more, formal structure. And if your company is very big, you probably will need few structure together within one company, right? Now, so the size is important. The third one is technologies. Technology here means that how you manufacture your products. So what is technology means? Technology, does that mean that it requires some machinery? Does it? Come on now, online student, wake up. Does technology require machinery or computer? Hmm? Anyone? Just want to make sure that you are engaged. Technology, does it require machinery or computer? Anyone? Hmm? Michael said yes. Michael is good. I always see your name there. I sure should need to give you some class participation mark. Anyone? Okay. Good that you respond, but all your answers are wrong. See? Technologies does not necessarily require to use machinery. That's right, no. So we say, what is technologies? Technology is just talking about the way you are going to make the product. So a lot of people, when they think about technology, must be machinery. No. Now, you heard about gym shoes, right? Sneakers. Many of you will buy, gym shoes, sneakers, sport shoes. That is what the Hong Kong people call. There are many famous company make sport shoes, and they always claim why their shoes are better than the others, because they have put a lot of technology into the shoes. So do you see any machine or computer in your shoes? No, right? So what they mean by technologies, they will tell you it's more comfortable, or it is good for running, or it is good for whatever, right? Now, so this benefit they're going to offer to you is provided by technology. So technology not necessarily will require machineries to do it or computers, but it's just a way to make things. Now, so you say, how is the way to make things affect our structure? Yes. Now, in general, there are three ways you can produce a product. One is called unit production. Now, unit production means kind of like tailor-made things. So unit means that you are based on the customer's request, or you make a very small batch of it. So a good example to think of it is like tailor-make the things, that or unit production. You go to make unit one by one. The second one is opposite, is mass production. That means you only have one design, and you make many of them and feed everybody. Now, process production kind of mean that you will need sometimes unit process. Sometimes sometimes you need to use unit production. Sometimes you need to use mass production. Now, what is a good example? For example, is making getting gasoline. Now, how you are as a company, you are a gasoline company, how you're going to produce the gasoline? You may need to use process production, such as first you may have used the unit production, because you may go around the world and find where to dig out the oil. Now, the oil can be in the ground or sometimes in the ocean, right? And they are not necessarily in the same place. So unit production means that you will have to go through the procedures, like everywhere, trying to check out if they have oil underground. Second, when you are going to dig out the oil, the maybe not pure enough for you to make gasoline. So you have to look at, for example, if you dig the oil out from the ground, they may have many other substance in it, which is not clean for the gas for the car. So you may have to refine it. So in that case, you may need to use unit production because you have to refine it. Depends on the quality of the oil. Now, afterward, you can go through the mass production because once you get all the oil out and refine it, then you can mass productions, make all the gasoline and ship it anywhere in the world. Now, that is what we could say that technology and structure. Now, so you're saying that make it more complicated. That's right. So sometimes it really depends on how you produce the product. Now, of course, here we will use the most simple one, that is three of them. Um, but because of the way that they produce it, will require a different kind of method. So you may have to change your organization structure differently, depends on the type of production you are having. So in other words, make it very simple. That is, if you are unit production, you may need to have one organization structure. Mass production, you need another one. Process, in other words, you need to have another way of structuring. So can we have all this in one company? Yes. You can have different divisions. Each division will make use of one way to do so. All right, now, so here we'll give you some characteristic. This is just an example. You can have a look at it. All right. Now, one more thing that will affect organization structure is the environment. Now, the environment is, if the environment is very uncertain, most uncertain, then we're saying that you need to be more flexible. So which one is better? Of course, the organic organization structure is better, right? But if you think that the environment is very stable, nothing much is going to change, then you should use a mechanistic one. Because mechanistic one means that you already find the best way to do things and you want to continue. Now, so for example, if you're going to make furniture, right? Of course, what kind of organization structure are you thinking of? Of course, mechanistic one, right? But if you're saying that I want to invent some kind of new robot, then of course you will have to consider of using organic organizational structures. These are not difficult things to understand, but you just make sure that you realize that the type of industry, the way you produce a product, makes a whole lot of difference in your organization structure. Why? Efficiency is most important. And most of the company, like you always hear, like why company will restructure their structures. Really, efficiency is very critical. Okay, now these are very standard structure that so far we mentioned. What about the modern societies coming up? Now, many of the students here or whoever take this course usually are year one students, right? But imagine that after 4 years, you're going to graduate. Will the business world exactly the same? We will say most likely not. There will be some changes it's going to involve. So when we are teaching you in the university, this is the reason why that we don't like to use the mentality of memorizing things. Number one is because memorizing things is like mechanistic way of learning. When environment change, it doesn't apply anymore. So some of the students in the past were saying, why are we going to study business? Because it's not working. Well, actually, I was saying that you only know what to do, but you don't understand why we do it that way. Because once you understand why we do it that way, you will learn how to, modify it and change it. Now, I can guarantee you that you, by the time you graduate, there are a lot of things are changing. So the method are there, but the way, which one will be more appropriate, is really depends on the situations. Okay, now so let's look forward and saying that what are the more, I would say, organization structure are coming up right now in the near futures. Now, there are several things that I like to mention it. One is team structure. I just like these pictures. Team structure means what? You all have to learn how to work with each others. And you don't want to think of authority or this because you want to think of it's a self-managed, empowered employee team. Now, you may be getting frustrated by now that with all the team project, right? That is a very good training because right now you still have a teacher, to make sure that you don't have a free riders. But when you are going to work in a team, who knows? You have to learn how to deal with the people. You like them, you don't like them, and you also have to make sure that you have to get things done because that is your career. Your career is learning how to deal with the others. Now I'm not just talking about your major in business. In this world, so many jobs you have to work with each other because there's so much technologies and knowledge in it. One person cannot learn all of them. You have to make use of others' knowledge too. So teamwork is important. So learn to work and deal with it. Don't just hide in your room because that is not going to work for too long. Now, next one is matrix and project structure. Now, what that is? Now, this is what we call the matrix and project organizations. Now, on top here is what we consider as organization structure by functional. Now, functional means by the work, let's say engineering, manufacturing, purchasing, right? In here is by project. Project A, B, G, O. Now, what's that mean? That means that you will have all the professional here in their own department. Once you have a new project come up, you will assign a new project managers. Then the new project managers will go to this functional department and draw the staff to make their own team. So then we call it is an A team. Now, usually this project will last for many years. So another project may come up, you may have many different teams to set up with. Now, what happens if A team finish the job done? All the staff will go back to their own department and ready for the next assignment. Now, I still need to give you a little bit of background story about this matrix organization structure. Now, first, have you heard of a company called NASA? Have you heard of a company called NASA? Hmm? Do you know what is because if you don't know the companies, you probably don't understand my example. Anyone? Yes or no? NASA. That's right. No? Okay. It's a very famous company. We learn a lot from it. NASA is 美國太空總署. That's NASA. If you are going to visit, if you go to Houston in America to visit this company, it's just like going to Hollywood, the studios. And you can go and visit some of their equipments, and you can buy the T-shirts. And one year, while I was teaching this subject, I saw a student was wearing NASA's T-shirt. I was very surprised. So, why? They are the one who invent this kind of organization structure. The reason is, if you want to make spaceships, right, you require a lot of different kind of professional. So, NASA will have a different kind of professional as their functional organization structure. So that means that they may have mechanical engineer, electronic engineer, aerospace engineer, and all these different kind of engineers. So let's say that when NASA say there is assignment that we have to go to the moon, let's say to collect information, then they assign a Project A team manager. So Project A team manager is supposed to go and collect all the relevant engineer to be in their team and consider as an A team. Let's say going to the moon to collect information. So in the meantime, they say, oh, we need another project. It's going to the Mars. We'll collect information. Then you have B team, right? So that's the way it is. Now, what's so good about it is because in that case, it is hard to get all these, specialized engineer. So once you hire them, you don't want to say, I have a project, I'll hire you. When the project is finished, I fire you, and then I'll wait until next time. That is not very efficient. So what they did is they will hire them anyway, put them in a functional department. And when they have a need for it, they will call them down. So a mechanic engineer may be doing project A and project B too for two projects. But, they are professional in this area, they will only take care of this problem. Now, in that case, it is more efficient, and you don't have to duplicate, all the departments, right? Now, what is the problem with this structure? Why I'm using this example was because do you remember on the history? I think it's 1963. There is a spaceship called the Challenger. 挑戰者號. When I was talking about this one time again, one student told me he remember that because that he was born in 1963, and so that he remembered the year very well. Now, 挑戰者號, that is the Challenger, was the first spaceship that time. They will carry civilians in the spaceship. Civilians means that 啲平民, not astronaut. And I remember they even have some nurses or teachers there because they want to bring some other people to go to the trip, so they will be able to have more experiment in it. But the problem was, actually, if you want, you still can go to the YouTube and look at the video. It was looking, the television station was showing how the spaceship going up. They would count it 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, and then the spaceship go up. Actually, that time the TV was showing the spaceship go up, and suddenly, everyone's instead of clapping their hand and suddenly say, "Oh!" Why? The spaceship after they get off the ground, around few minutes, the whole ship exploded. Everyone died. Now, of course, at that time, NASA was very worried. What happened? The whole spaceship haven't even go to the space yet. It's all, is explored. So, of course, they will have to go through the investigation for a few years to find out what's wrong about it. And later on, the result came. And again, I saw the report about this project and what are the reasons that failed. Now, honestly, I am in management. I'm in business. I don't particularly care and know about, this spaceship engineering and all this. But you know why I got the notice of it? And I even go and look at the document. And actually, when I look at it, it was the document was used typewriter to type it. I still can recognize, see how old that is. Now, why I'm interested in it, and the reason is because we thought it is an engineering problem. It turned out to be no. It is a management problem. I was saying, how that got to do with management, right? All the blame go to the managers. Well, in a kind, yes. Now, of course, there are a lot of complications into it. But let me make the long story short. The problem was because they said it's due to this matrix organization structure problem. Now, why? Because they newly developed, so they forgot and they didn't really understand that in this kind of structure, the worker will have two bosses. Now, so the story was talking about actually was the one engineer. Actually, it happens to be a Japanese guy. His job is to decide how to put two pieces together. The spaceship is very big, right? You cannot make only one piece. You have to put two pieces together. So how you put two pieces together? You will need a ring to put it together, right? Now he has problem in deciding this ring. So because it's a technical problem, so he was thinking maybe I should talk to my functional manager, because the functional manager is expert in the technologies, and he did not tell the project managers. So when the disaster came, the project managers, after they go to the investigation, and he find out there was one document he didn't know and he never, know it. That was that the problem design with the ring itself. So the project manager said, if I ever knew this before, I will never let my spaceship off the ground because there is defect in the design. So too bad. What? It wants one simple problem. That is the communication between the functional managers and the project managers. So Nessa said, we learned a bad, lesson. Just one small little things and cost millions of dollars and years of, development. So Nessa said, put that in the university students' textbooks when you are talking about matrix organization structure. Let them learn from our mistake and don't ever make that mistake again. That was happened that I would look into this case. So I went and looked into the video that they have. I look at the document from the court. I look at the document from the company because after all this year they are not confidential anymore. If they're saying that they want to tell others the mistake they made. Now, so at least we know what are the disadvantages of it. But nowadays, is it popular? NASA is a big company. Of course, they can use this complicated structure. But nowadays, are any other company are using it? Yes. Can you think of any company that they will be benefit from this? Now it's very popular. Can you think of any? For example, construction company. Construction company will have all the professional, right? So they have a project in Kowloon, in Hong Kong, in new territories, right? So when they need it, they call the engineering into the team, right? The other is marketing. Marketing is once you have a customer come in and ask, can you design a promotion for us? They will have a project team just to take care of that product. Anything else? Consultants company, accounting company, all by using this kind of structures. Usually nowadays all the professional company are using it. That's why last week I said, right? Don't expect only have one boss. Nowadays business environment is complicated, and if you are professional, you have at least two bosses. Of course, you may have also the government later on, to tell you what are the rules that you have, the safety regulation that you have to follow. All right, now, so that is matrix. Let's go back to boundaryless organizations, right? Nowadays, many companies are not going to have this so-called structure. They're just saying that teamwork. Now, teamwork can be virtual organization. Virtual organization right now, I think, virtual teaching. That means that, you don't see each others. I think I mentioned to you, my friends was working in Nike, and I asked him, how often you see your boss? He say he will see him once in a year, one time in a year, and talk to her. Talk to his boss twice on the telephone. And I asked, if you have any coworker, he said yes. I say that who is your partner? He said he is in India. So he's saying that his job is that he likes to work at night time because because of time difference. So he started working around 12 o'clock at night time because I find that is kind of strange. But yes, so virtual organization is getting very popular nowadays too. Now task force is an ad hoc committee. That means if there are problems, then they will set up a department to investigate. Once they finish investigating it and find out or accomplish the job, then the committee will dissolve. That means that no, don't have the committee anymore. So it is temporary, only to take care of a particular, company projects or problem. Open innovation is like there's no company and they don't have department. But if you have new concept and idea, then you're going to join the company and work on it. So it is, I was saying that some of you may call it freelancers, not exactly, but it is. Telecommunicating. Now, there's a lot of management research is working on. It's after the coronavirus, we are changing part of our life already, and saying that our life go back to before the coronavirus? And many management, concept is thinking, not only management, I think that many other discipline is looking at, well, things are changing, so probably we will find a better way, a more efficient way to work together. So telecommunicating, especially like in Japan, because the birth rate went down, so they are short of work, people to work. So Japan in the recent year, not only they are willing to hire foreigners to work in Japan, they also encouraging female to go back to the workforce. So in order to encourage the female to go to the workforce, they were saying that if you can use telecommunicating this kind of system, so the women can work at home, take care of the family and also the business itself. So that trend is coming. Compressed work week. Now, I was surprised that in Hong Kong they still have long short week, because the rest of the world, the advanced country, they already do it for 5 days a week, and some of them are talking about 4 days a week. Now, of course, they put in the same hours, because the thinking that they have is trying to avoid the commuting time. So in that case, it may be more efficient. Flexi time, job sharing. Now, flexi time means that, uh, let's say in Hong Kong, in the bank, they have so-called flexi time. So some people will say, what is flexi time? That means you don't have to come to work at 9 o'clock, right? You can come to work at 9:30. I say that more than that. Now, flexi time, let's say use an example in some of the bank in Hong Kong. The bank close what? Around 4 to 5 o'clock, right? And once the bank is closed, worker cannot go home, because then they have a lot of back room, paperwork. So you also know that, in a bank they hire a lot of females. So they have a special fixed time, flexi time that is. Um, a lot of females saying that, well, in the afternoon I need to, like 2, 3 o'clock, I need to pick up my children from school. So what they let them do is that they can, take a much longer lunch hour. So they will come back around 3 to 4 o'clock. Then from 3 to 4 o'clock, they came back, and then they work until like 6 to 7 o'clock. So in other words, is that um, they take a much longer break in the middle, because they need to take care of their children's, going to school and coming back, all those. But then they work a little longer hours until 7 or 8 o'clock. So it looks like that they are working overtime. Actually, it's not, because they will break the day into 2 parts. Now, that is also called flexi time. So this we have to be very open-minded to think of, that certain hours you have to work, not necessarily only coming to work, and leaving in a different time. The contingency workforce, this basically is saying that really depends on the job. You may have a different coworker at a different time. Now, contingency workforce, you can think of, you have different module, right? You're taking different classes, and different classes you will have a different teammate to do the project, and that is considered as contingency workforce. All right. So this is not a difficult um, subject, but this will give us some explanation on why people organize in a company in a very different way. Any questions on this? No? Okay, if that is the case, then we will be moving on a new topics. All right. Ready to change your note? Semester go very fast. Today we talk about leaderships. Next week we talk about motivation, and the last week is control, and that's all. We are going to, we'll be finished the whole syllabus. Now, I don't need to give you definition definition about what leadership is about, right? Now, so what we want to learn here, first, let me ask, do you believe leadership, someone can be a good leader? Is it because they have born with these characters? Or can we train someone to be a good leader? So, how are we going to learn to be a good leader? Now, let's say, well, usually when we learn things, we like to look at who is a good leader, right? So we want to learn from them. Now, that is a very difficult question because who is a good leader? What is your definition of good leader? You say, well, successful, right? Okay, if he's successful, let's say that Napoleon, we all think he is a very great leader, but finally he failed. Not everybody success all the time. They have their ups and downs. So are they a good leader? So how are we going to define as a good leader? Because if we don't know what is a good leader, what are we going to learn from? This chapter will provide you some of the background and let you know exactly what leadership is all about. So in other words, you're saying that if I understand the concept of leadership, I am not the type. Okay, not a problem. Because if you are not a leadership, that doesn't mean that you don't have a career. You still can do many, 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 many things. But if it is a leader, you have to understand what required to be a leader and what are the things that you can do. Now, that is the objective of this chapter. I cannot teach you how to be a good leader. You have to decide on if this is what you want in the first, in the first place. So we want to learn here is leadership is a very long chapter, and there are so many models. Basically, all the concepts we learn about leadership are based on the research we find out. There are many models, but I will only cover I would say that few very simple leadership model first, because if you are interested in leadership, later on you can take some courses on advanced leadership. They will go into more detail to tell you how to be a good leader. Now, so for today, we are not going to cover the whole chapter. We only cover only around 10 pages in the textbooks. We're only looking at some of the early theory of leaderships because let's understand. Sometimes we say we hate those authoritative leader. We like democratic leader. No, do you understand what they are? And if autocratic leadership is no good, why it is still exists? Why it is still popular? All right. Now, so we want to look at exactly what the things we learn and they establish. Next thing we want to look at is something what we consider as contingency theory. Now, why we have to learn contingency theory? That is because we go back and look at history. Those so-called successful leaders, they will sometimes win, sometimes lose. So we want to look at, is that situation affect someone's leadership behavior? So we want to go and look into, why a good leader sometimes successful and sometimes not. Depends on what. That is the contingency theory. Okay, now let's start looking at leaderships. One thing easier for you to, start out with is think of. If you want to be a good leader, you have to concern about the followers. So a good leader means first thing you think of is who are the followers and what they want and how you're going to make them successful. So the point is not on you, it's on them. That's what leadership is suggested. Okay? Now, so next thing is so what is leader compared with a manager or other people? The key word, only one key word here is influence. How you're going to influence others. Now, so leadership not necessarily only in management. Leaderships will be everywhere if you need to work with the others. The question is, how are you going to influence the other? Now, of course, how to influence the other in our business world is not talking about bad things, right? Is to influence influence a group of people to achieve the goal. So we know that, in an organization we need to achieve a goal. So I would say that not everyone, not all people, good in leadership will be good in, because you can be a religious leader, a political leader. But if you want to be a leader in management, of course, you have to be knowing the management technique, right? So basically, we say all managers should be a good leader, but all leader not necessarily will be good in management, right? Again, like I said, if you're a religious leader, how you going to influence the other? Political leader, how you are going to convince the others, right? So let's start looking at some of the early leadership theory. In other words, these are well-established concepts, and we better have a better understanding it first before we move on, right? First one is called leadership traits. Let's go back to my question. Will you believe that leader, a good leader, I'm saying, usually were born with a certain characters. In other words, is a good leader, to a certain extent, is born. Will you agree? Born here means that um, if someone just born with this kind of talent. Will you agree? Will you agree? Think of it. You know that, in the past, there's no such, courses and teach you how to be a good leader, but people still can be a good leader. So does that mean they born with this character? Are they? No. Now, yeah, that's true. None of us are born with this kind of leadership characters. Because if we're born with it, then it's very easy. All we need to do is, if I want to hire a good manager with leadership skills, I just go and check their DNA, right? Or we are going to put them under certain kind of psychology tests. Have you ever heard of, went through all those psychology tests? No. So we don't believe leaderships, this kind of talent is born. Can we make someone to be a good leader? Can we? Give them a lot of training. Can we make someone to be a good leader? Hmm? Now, if he is not born, right? Can we make him to be a good leader? Can we make someone to be a good leader? Maybe yes. Well, the answer is, that's right, it's hard. Because if someone don't want to be a good leader, don't like to be a leader, if nothing you can train them. So in other words, in order to be a good leader, it's not a matter of born with characters. But the most important thing is just whether he wants to be a good leader. Now, someone wants to be a good leader doesn't mean that will be a good leader, right? I want to be a winner too, but how come I never win, right? Now, so the important thing we saying character, traits. Trace this word actually is, if you study psychologists, they will say there are over, in human being, they find out there are few thousand traits in the person. But because they are so small, so complicated, when we in general term, we just group them together and call it characters. So basically we say a few thousand different kind of traits. When we group them, there will be around 16 different characters, when we are going to identify a person. Now, so we say research actually focus on looking at characteristics. To look at, this is successful leader, what are the characteristics he had? This is a failed one, and what are the characteristics that they have? So we're trying to use characteristics as a factor to determine if someone is successful or not. But it turned out to be quite difficult. It is very, I would say difficult, but in the research they say it's impossible to identify a set of traits that will always differentiate a leader from a non-leader. Now, so why? Why is it, that we cannot figure out? So in other words, the key thing about whether you are a successful leader is not only on you, but depends on many factors. So, such as, what are they? We start out with one is called behavioral theory. Now, behavioral theory here means that it's not the characteristic, but it's the individual behavior that make him a good leader or not. So, in our character is your own personal thing, but how you behave in the public with your follower makes some difference. Now, so you say, as a leader, what kind of behavior you can have? Two things, definitely. One, see if you agree with me, but I was saying that not much change you can be, is that the behavior is the three very general concept. And even you don't have to come to management course, you will know and you heard of it, right? One is called autocratic. You know what is autocratic? A lot of people say that this is not good, but wait a minute, we are still using it, very popular. Now, so you say, under what circumstances that autocratic leadership is good? Well, actually, to some situations, if people have no idea what is good or bad, then autocratic or the professional make the decision is better, right? If you are going to tell me to make some decision on something that I don't know, will I make a good decision? I won't, right? So in that case, maybe the one that who know the best make the decision. So autocratic leadership style is still very popular. Now the other one is democratic. Of course, democratic is you involve other people to make the decision. Now under what circumstances this will be good? That is, all your followers have the knowledge to do so, and they are willing to participate in the decision making, right? Because some people, if you ask them, they just don't want to make decisions. Um, Actually, Chinese, always say they want democratic leadership style, but when you ask them decision, they will be very quiet, don't say anything. Because I think Chinese have this kind of thinking is, if you make the decisions, you are responsible for the result. So they don't want to be responsible for the result, so they it's not my decisions, right? And also, I think that Chinese have this kind of thinking is, if you are the boss, you make the decisions because you're supposed to be have better knowledge and you get higher pay for it. So why don't you make the decisions? So, not sure that democratic leadership style will be, you know, I would say that easy to implement and is very worthwhile. Depends on the cultural background. Now, the third one is called laissez-faire. Laissez-faire, now, a lot of students think that laissez-faire means that give them the free hand, right? Don't have to do anything. No. Laissez-faire means that you have to provide the appropriate, we call it infrastructure, or make it easy, is the environment for the worker to do the job. So how they're going to do it, what they want to do it, is up to them. But you do need to provide the appropriate environment to give them all the support and let them do whatever they want to. Now, so you probably will heard about the Hong Kong government always say Hong Kong government is implementing this so-called laissez-faire management style. Now, what the Hong Kong government is saying that we want to make sure all the infrastructure in Hong Kong are favorable for you. Like, for example, we allow exchange money. Your money can go in and out. We have free of the borders, and we have very low taxations. So all the factors in the country is very favorable factors for anyone who want to do business. But how you're going to do your business, whether you're successful or not, is totally up to you, whether you know how to do it. Now, but that's why we're saying that, like, how we can compete with Singapore. One thing I was saying that is more freedom in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, the government will put less pressure on the regulations. Like money can go in and out, and there is no control on all the boundary. That means that you can travel in and out. So this is what we consider as laissez-faire. All right. Now, laissez-faire means that provide all the environment for you, whether success or not is up to you. That is your decision. Okay. Now, so this is one kind of behavior. It is a very long, old-fashioned thinking. We call this one is studied a long time ago. Is by Ohio Studies. Ohio actually is a state in America, and they use that name because this is the knowledge that they developed. Now, the other one is from um, Ohio State study. Now, Ohio State also is another location. Now, in this research, they're saying, well, the behavior of leader only need two things, right? One is, just think of if you are the leader, what you need to concern. One is to get the work done, right? The other one is that your follower likes you. That is what all leaders about. So get the work done is what is called initiating structure. That means the leader will decide his role and the group member in attaining the goals. And so you can think of it. Initiated structure means care about getting the job done. Task oriented, job oriented. You care about getting the job done, attaining the goal, right? I mean, as a leader, that is important, right? You have to care about the goal, getting the things done. But on the other hand, you have to care about people, right? Consideration. That means you have to concern about the group member. So in Ohio State study, we say, well, if you want to be a good leader, you have to be care about getting the job done and also care about your workers. So I will find that this one is easy to say, right? In real life, can we do that? Just imagine. Tomorrow is a deadline. So if you are managers, do you want to meet the deadline? Of course you want to, right? But on the other hand, if you want to meet the deadline, that means you have to push your worker to work overtime. So which one you want? Can you do both? It is difficult. Now, but of course, we know that as a good leader, you want to make sure you get work done and you care about your workers. So the concept is ideal, but how are we going to do it? Now, another one coming up is, oh, this one, we look into, both are actually good, but, sometimes it's very difficult to implement, right? So the next one is, the development is from University of Michigan. Now, University of Michigan find out that the leadership style, again, is two things. One, want to get the work done. The other one is people like you. But which one is more important? The Ohio one, the last one, we say both are important. But this time, they find out that actually care about people is more important. Because they're saying that if you care about people, the people are motivated, then they will be more excited to get the job done. So instead of just to get the job done, we will influence our member so they will do a good job. Now, so this thinking is getting more popular because we're saying that people will make a lot of difference in the job itself. So Michigan State thinking is, getting, I was saying that into the mainstream of leaderships later on. Now, still we are thinking of, is it really true that all we consider about people, they will always get the job done well? Now, there is another research. Give me a minute. I'm taking out the pen because I need to write something on the board. But for the online student, you may just listen, all right? Now, it's quite interesting because after this Michigan study mentioned care about people is very important. So there was another research is looking at, is that true? Now, this research is going into a mining company. You know what is a mining company? It's contract. Now, in mining company, they have two type of worker, right? Let's say one is the people who work in the office because you still need to have a lot of paperwork, right? The office people. The other one is those labor worker, those blue collar, right? They have to work under the mine. So we call it is the blue collar worker. Now, there's two type of workers here, definitely, right? So the research was looking at the old managers. They pick this company is because it happens to be they have a change in management. So in the old management, that was this last year working in the company because after that he's going to retire. So after this manager retired, they went and interviewed the staff and say, what do you think about the old manager? Do you like them? Now, the old manager, of course, is his last years in the work, so he is very nice to everybody, very easygoing. Why? Because he doesn't need to worry because he is going to retire, right? So it's easy job. So he is just nice to everyone. So after he left, they asked the office people, "Do you like this manager?" Can you guess what they say? They say, "No, we don't like him." Hey, they are so he is so nice to all of you. Why you don't like him? He said that it was because he is too nice. He doesn't follow the rules and regulations, and he doesn't care about if the job get done. So in other words, he doesn't even pay attention. Now, if you don't follow rules and regulations, it's very difficult for us to do the job, right? Sometimes you think that, if the other department is not doing their job, it will affect you, right? So he said it's also unfair. Some worker come to work late, he doesn't care. Then if we don't have the whole team, we cannot start working. So he's an easy manager, but we don't like him. Okay, so they went down and asked the blue collar worker working under the mine. You know that working under the mine is a very risky job. You probably always hear from the news that the mine collapsed, right? People die. So people working here are really very risky job. So they asked, "Do you like these old managers?" What they say is, "Yes, yeah, we like it." They say, "Why?" He said, "Because he is very, nice. I mean, what he did is he gave us a free hand to do whatever we want to." Because he's saying that we are working under the mine. We are facing uncertainty, and we are really don't know what is going on. It's very dangerous. So it would be good that the manager will give us all the freedom to make the decisions, and we do whatever we want to. So they say, yeah, if he like the manager. But we went in and looked at this group of workers, how they work together, and find out they have very high absenteeism. Then the question is, they like the managers, but they have high absenteeism. But we also find that they have high absenteeism and they have high productivities. So what is this? Because this is totally not logical. You like the managers because he is easygoing. He let you make a decision. But why you always absent? But turnaround is still very good productivities. It turned out to be, after the interview with all these labor workers, they say, the job here is very dangerous and very risky. So we are facing a lot of pressure every day. So they say that if you are under a lot of pressure, sometimes, you cannot work. So when we're under too much pressure, the next day we just say, I want to call in sick because, it's difficult to work. What will happen? The boss don't care. Okay, if you want to absent, absent. Now, then who do the job? He's saying that because of the team member all know that. Oh, this is a very risky job and it is very stressful. Oh, today you are not feeling good, you don't come to work, no problem. We'll do all your job. Because they know maybe one day I will be so stressful that I cannot work too. So please come and help me. So in that case, it's self-manage, right? They don't care, need the managers to supervise them. They are very good self-managed team. So although they have a very high absenteeism, no problem. They still maintain the productivity. All right. So after this year, they gone. The new manager come in. New manager come in, and after 1 year, they want to interview the workers. Now, in this year, the new managers, of course, the new manager, what the Chinese say, 新官上場三把火. Have you heard of it? That means that when you are new, you're very excited about the job. You want to make sure everything is going to be, on the right track. So the new manager is very aggressive, good in management, he considered. And after 1 year, they go back and ask the worker again. They ask the office worker, do you like these managers? Now he is quite tough. They follow the rules and regulations, and they make use of management technique. Do you like them? What the people in the office said, yeah, we like it. At least there's some discipline, there's some guideline for us to do the job. Can you guess what the blue collar said? We don't like it. So, you look at this. Well, we cannot just say that you only care about people will be productive. Because you can look at this example. Office people will find that the manager is easygoing, but still they don't like it. Why? Because if you're too considerate, they don't have any discipline. They don't get work done and they influence the others. So what does that mean? That means managers, you cannot use one rule to run your department. In other words, managers, you should not tell yourself you have a leadership style. You shouldn't have any leadership style. So how you're going to lead the group is totally depends on the situation. And you should change it and more flexible. So you are not going to say, I am a very production-oriented leader, or I am a very, people-oriented. Instead, you should consider about the situations. Then the next question is, my God, there's so many situations. How you expect me to, understand? Here comes another model. It's called managerial grill. You don't have to memorize the detail, but you have to understand the concept itself. Now, let's look at this diagram first. Easy to understand. First, on this side, they put it at 1 to 9. The higher, the more, right? This one is concerned about people. So 1 is not concerned about people. 9 is very, very concerned about people. On the other hand, this one is concerned about the job, the task. This is low and this is high. So you're saying that should we concern about people or the task? This is a combination. How many combinations you have? This is 9 and this is 9. There are 81 combinations. We are not a machine. How can we, change our combination so often or be precise? Basically, no. All we just look at is few points. Let us look at this point. Country club management, we give the name to it, easy to remember, is what? You don't care about the job, but you're very concerned about people. So what kind of job that require you to concern about more people instead of doing the job? It's like a country club type. Country club means what? Those relaxed entertainment environment, right? Servicing industry. So in our one extreme is, for example, if you are in servicing industry, all you need is concern about your worker. Because if your worker is happy, they will provide better service to the customer, right? You cannot just yell at them and turn around and say, smile to the customer. Human being cannot do it, right? Now, the extreme of this on the opposite side is only care about the job and not people. So what kind of job is like this? And a good example is police, fireman, right? You cannot just go and tell the police, say, oh, this is danger, don't go and fight the crime. You have to tell them, go ahead and fight the crime because getting the criminal is most important. All right, of course, you will have one is in the middle. That means you will concern part of it to the managers, the part of the workers, or part of the job. We don't need to talk about this, We need to concern about this too. One more is 9 to 9. 9 to 9 means what? You're also concerned about people and tasks. What kind of job you need to? We say team management. If you're working in a team, yes, you need to achieve something, right? But on the other hand, you also have to manage your team member. That's why it's 9 to 9. Because without a good team, you cannot get most of the job done. That's why it's 9 to 9. Now, what's so big deal about this model? This model is telling us we have so many combinations. You have to look into the situation itself and be very flexible. How flexible it is. For example, you say that if you are going to lead a team to work, you have to consider both. But what happens if some of the job you may need to consider one way or the others? How flexible it is. Now, let's say, if you're going to manage a team of police, can you always just go ahead and tell them, go and fight? They are human beings too. So, different situation, you have to use different technique. Let's say, before you are going to put the police on the job, you should be a country club management style. That means care about your police. How? Give them good enough training to protect themselves. Give them enough tools, ammunition, like equipment. Train them well. Teach them how to do it. Giving them all the protective things. That is country club, right? You totally care about your police. But when it is on the job, on the spot, you will tell them, go ahead and fight the crime, right? So even the same type of job, same type of requirement, before and after, you can change your leadership style. So this is an example of what do we mean by being flexible. So now all we need to know is we need to concern about the job and the people. So how flexible? It can really have to depend on the situations and the type of job. It's not only fixed in one way, but at a different time, at different stage, you may have to be flexible and move. So in other words, it is just like a pen. You are going to move here, everywhere. Really depends on the situation. So the technique here is not your leadership skills, but analyzing the situation, what the follower expect you to do. Okay? All right, now, so here is the detail in comparing all the four leadership style that we talk about. But just basically, we are still focusing on care about the people and the job itself. And in general, the more modern theory, the more emphasizing on the flexibility. All right? Now, so this is the early theory, we call it behavior, looking at the behavior, the leader, he himself. All right, maybe we should take a break. All right, and then I still have 3 more modules to cover, and after that I will go team by team to discuss with you. All right. So each team be prepared that I will call your team number and let me know what are your progress. But again, that I say next week is the deadline for project outline, and week after next is the last class of the semester. All right. Okay. Take a break first, and don't forget, I'm going to take attendance. So have you all registered to the Microsoft team, including the online student? Go ahead. So I can take the attendance from the system. So you have a record. Okay. All right. I'll give you a few minutes for the online for the student in the class to register. Let me know once you are done. I'm taking attendance. In the meantime, others can go for a break.